Greetings. Greetings with true peace, true love to all mankind and womankind. We are the Ministry of the Real Truth, and today we are responding to a comment we made under this video, and also one to ours, which we'll show you in a minute. Now, this is basically what we thought might be Hebrew. We got the idea it might be Hebrew Israelite movement. There's a lot of hacking, in it. Okay, quite a lot of it. Now, this picture here looks like a picture of the Syrians, but they're made out. This is black people, right? This looks like a black person. Okay, this looks more like, okay, they're braids, whatever. Okay, so we might go with that. So we listened to it. Okay.
הדבר אשר Tabal-YA'OH Ban חשדם ביד ירם יאו הנבא. הגדו בגויים השמיעו ושעו נס השמיעו. וחכדו אמרו נלחדה בבל הבשבל חף ברדך. הבשו רצביה חפו גלוליה. גלה גליה גוי מצוקון. הו ישב אף ארצה לשמה. Wala ya'e yoshabaha ma adam wagad bama nado halacho bayamim hahama obagav hahea naam ya'o yaba'o bane ya'o sha'a hama obane ya'oda yachado haloch wabacho yalacho wa'af ya'o alaeham yabakasho se'on yasha'alo darach hana paneham ba'o wanalo'o al ya'o
Okay, as you see, there's a lot of okay, we're not really insulting it, this just basically we're explaining that's what there's a lot of it there, right? Okay, so we got a comment, we made a comment and we said, okay, a lot of hach and hoch. English would be nice, bros, right? Just a bit of humour there, right? Okay, so they said this guy who owns it retorted and used cussing language or swore, right? Yeah, so it shows to us, indicates to us that he has no control over his tongue, okay, over his mouth, right? Scripture does say, have control over it, of that tongue, of that mouth, because the mouth is like fire, can burn a forest, all that sort of scriptural stuff, right? Okay, so put a comment underneath there, not a nasty one, just saying, because we asked, can you translate it into English? And in reply, we says, well then, they says, oh nah, or they didn't want it or something like that. This comment here, right? So we basically replied and says, then you're hiding something. You're probably scared, afraid to be critiqued, because I did ask on another video of his, because he retorted, and I says, well, give us the links to your books that you're claiming, you're boasting about, and you're saying, the Ministry of the Real Truth can't contribute anything to you, don't think would be of any help to them or whatever, got nothing to offer, all this retort. So he says, well, put the links up, the sources to your books, etc. But they didn't come back at us, right, swearing at us. So again, we said, you're hiding something, you're scared, afraid to be critiqued. As they say, the Hebrew Israelites, you're scared and running, when we're not. Okay, so we're using that term that they use on us. Yeah, you are religious actors, role players, and not the real deal, and not as spiritual as you make out, as you use profanity, which is said to be because one has, or it's a clear indication of low intelligence. Okay, so you have to exaggerate and swear or cuss. That's supposedly fact. Okay, you're either trolls, we have a chip on your shoulder, hate mongers, biased, racist, have serious issues towards other human beings, the descendants of long dead oppressors, etc. You can't let go of ancient events and grudges that happened last century. It's understandable. Your people went through all that. Your forefathers. You haven't, but they have. Maybe you're getting depressed in America. You can understand that. You can't get a loan. Everybody else can, but you can't. Right? They can run away back to their countries of origin, but you guys can't. We sympathise with all that. Okay. So we're saying you have no mercy, no tolerance, pity or forgiveness in you for these other people that did you wrongs according to scripture. So drop the religiosity and try something else, right? Because you're just playing a role, going through emotion, right? So just get rid of that. Okay, so that's that one there. Okay, here's his channel. Okay, looks pretty good. Listen to a couple of these videos here. Yeah, not bad. Thought it was at first Hebrew, and then we realised, it's a Hebrew Israelite. Okay, because they tend to make up long names, right? Like this, a.k.a, Shamshon, etc. They call themselves these massive names, right? Okay, yeah, so pretty interesting, good music, all that sort of stuff. They're teaching their children all this stuff, claiming it's, or indicating or hinting at that it's actually from the Hebrew, right? But we went and had a look at, we found the name of their founder or someone like that. Okay, here's the other one. They put it under our video, Book of Beginnings, Volume 2, reviewed. This is a book we found by Gerald Massey, the so-called historian archaeologist, that translated Egyptian texts, and apparently the New Zealand Maori language is very close to the Egyptian, etc., etc., right? And we happened to comment on a particular part of this book that we downloaded, and it states section 12, Hebrew cruxes with the Egyptian illustrations. According to Josephus, the Egyptian writer Apion most strenuously insisted that the Jews were of Egyptian origin. He affirmed that when they were cast out of Egypt, they still retained the language of that land. He brings forward a proof which Josephus irately repudiates. Yeah, says that's a load of rubbish. Apion's account of the Jews was intended to satirise the worshippers of Sut, Typhon, the A'at, lepers, outcasts, and religiously unclean. Thus, he says, were driven out, and as they were afflicted with the bubos, they rested on the seventh day, and called it the Sabbath after the disease. Apion was playing upon words. Josephus asserts of him, he then assigns a certain wonderful and plausible occasion for the name of Sabbath, for he says, when the Jews had travelled a 6 days journey, they had bubos in their groins, and on that account they rested on the seventh day. Thus they preserved the language of the Egyptians, and called that day the Sabbath. For that malady, or that affliction of bubos in the groins was named Sabbatosis by the Egyptians. This grammatical translation of the word Sabbath either contains an instance of his great impudence or gross ignorance, for the words Sabbath and Sabbath are widely different from each other, and so forth. Okay, so they put a comment down here. What is this trash? Ya-O, sacred day is a disease. Don't even worry about it. He got this right. Okay, so got some views here. Oh, we've got some more to look at. Some comments, right? And so I put, bet you'll say it is the Hebrew, because you had that funny feeling it was Hebrew Israelites, or something affiliated to that, US Hebrew Israelites. Bet you'll say it's in the Hebrew, it's from the Hebrew, whereas a professor in the modern Aramaic, Syriac and Hebrew, modern Israeli Hebrew language, with 2 doctorates or PhDs, will say it isn't, by proving it isn't. As Yahoo Washi Washi or Yahoo Woo Woo isn't either, because we already asked him, being a professor, a professional, expert on the Aramaic and the Hebrew. That's the modern Syriac and the Israeli Hebrew. That is bound today in Jerusalem, etc. Okay, it's Apion's claim refuted by Josephus, supposedly. Some will say, oh yeah, don't trust this guy. and definitely don't trust this guy, because his works are supposed to be fraudulent or something like that, or messed with. So he suggested best to ask someone like Shaka Amos from House of Consciousness, who claims to speak the old Egyptian or Kemet language, or Reggie or whoever, right? Or some other Egyptian follower on House of Consciousness on YouTube Live. It reads in the video, it was named after indication there, the Sabbath after the disease that broke out in Egypt according to Apion. Tacitus, the Roman historian, also speaks of this plague that broke out due to pigs infected with leprosy. Okay, in his histories. Right? Can't remember what page it is or that, but yeah, it's there. And that's what he stated. He was a Roman historian, orator. Yeah. And that's what he was told, apparently. What we've done. So the oracles, those seers of Egypt, told these, the Pharaoh, the leaders, etc., get these people out. Because if that leprosy is in the pigs and your people get infected, they'll all die. So kick them out, right? Oust them out, etc., etc. So his reply is, as Brian ousting guy 20 hours ago, they lied about that also. Gabar is Abraham's great grandfather. He was at the tower when the language Shapar Barora was confounded. He was the only one who walked away speaking the pure language of YA'OH. This is what was hidden from OMPP. What's that supposed to be? But not anymore. You don't know about the Torah and the Pt1a, the book of Moses, or YA'OH, and the book of the prophets. So I know the lies, and there's nothing you can say to me that will matter. Okay? So it says, okay, you are a Hebrew Israelite. That's what we realised. You must be affiliated, right? Ever heard of and used the name of God, Yahuwahi Wahi or Yahuwuwu? And then we suggested, then give me the link to your books you boast of so I can read them for myself. What century or age were they written? Were they written pre-800 BCE? If they really exist, I might be able to find them and critique them, right? Do you know of the Lishana Artika Sapreya, the Kitab Asheret, or the Kitab Avri, or even the Kitab Hotib? Because we need info on the last one, as read about it, but can't find any great info on it or about it online, right? So we put here, cheekily, what is this horse manure? If it's true, prove it with evidence of ancient texts or even manuscripts. Verify all the below, or this comment below. Gabar is Abraham's great-grandfather. He was at the tower when the language Shapar Barora, right? When that was around, right? It was confounded. He was the only one who walked away speaking the pure language of YA'OH. This is what was hidden from OMPP. What the hell's that? Okay. But not anymore. You don't know about that, what we previously stated. The book of Moses or YA'OH and the book of the prophets sounds very similar to the Mormon or Latter-day Saints claim of the Nephites being also at the tower and having manuscripts saying this and that. Okay. Whatever they wrote it in, right? It had to be that language, right, that they received after that confusion and then that separation, that division, right? So whatever, maybe a Mormon or whatever can say what language it actually is, okay, originally in, okay, because then it should match, right? It's either got to be the same if this guy's got the pure language, right, or a different one, okay, possibly a different one. So somebody can verify this claim. Anybody out there? Hebrew, whatever. A person who really speaks Hebrew. A Jew or someone from Syria or whatever. Okay. A rabbi or whatever. Take a look at that and verify it. Whether it's truth or a load of rubbish. Okay. But to us it sounds like it's very similar to the Mormon of Latter-day Saints claim of the Nephites being also at the tower and having manuscripts saying this and that they took with them, right? And here's a fact, Moses never wrote books, nor no proof he did. Go ask a real Jew, and they'll hopefully admit to you they put names to any writings as it was part of their tradition. Okay? The book of Moses are attributed to him, not written by him. Yeah, this is the statements by rabbis, as are the books of Mark and Luke attributed to them, but probably were really written and compiled by Paul, who had some help in it, right? Or they helped him because he was going blind at that point, right? So, cheeky us put, what is this trash you commented on me, right? Okay. So we decided to go have a look at supposedly the name of this founder, right? That they put on one of their underneath one of their videos or whatever on their channel. The man Tabal-YA'OH Ban Ab-YA'OH. See, they always make these long names, right? Give themselves these long names. Yeah. And this person, can't say that name there. It's a long as African name, I guess. States, not long ago he received a letter in his email box from a lady by the name of Sylvia, who resides in Georgia, USA, after she read his article of title about the name YA'OH entitled Allah Ayim of the Creator, letter to Pt1a in Germany, which was published on the same column of his on the modern Ghana internet site with the URL. There it is there. In his reply to Sylvia, he found himself talking about himself. Now, even though Sylvia has the concerns she raised him in her email to him, addressed in the reply to her, directly and in the privacy of her email address, he felt in his Rawak spirit that if it were made public, other readers of his column could possibly be blessed too, and hence this article in the form of an open letter to her here. But first, read the exact words of what Sylvia wrote him in their letter, unedited thus. She was intrigued when she came across his article, YA'OH and Allah. I was drawn to the truth, or she was drawn to the truth a few months ago, but she was not sure of the pure name. See, they stated it's a pure language, etc., etc. So we went and had a look online and found there is no such thing as pure language. No pure language in regards to linguistics. Okay? It's false. Go have a look online, look for, is there such a thing, or is there a pure language? Can there be a pure language? And you'll find it says no. Right? We had 3 opinions of it. Right? So yeah, it verified that that was false. That statement's false. She says she saw Yeshua, Hashawai, Yahweh, and many more, and you have the pure language to back it up. This is great. She knows all of the chosen will come into the knowledge of God. Right? These are all made up. This here's made up. Right? Hashawai, probably made up. Go ask a Hebrew speaker, and I said, what the heck is that rubbish? This is just as bad as Yahoo Washi Washi or Yahoo Woo Woo. We went to a professor with 2 doctorates, 2 PhDs, and asked him that question. Is Yahoo Woo Woo or Yahoo Washi Washi in the Hebrew? He says, what's that rubbish? Okay, we've done a video on it. You can go to actually we might not have done a video on it. You can go to Dr. James Francisco, his video, the Aramaic scriptures, and look for a comment by us, or perhaps by Real Juicy News, etc. And he'll say, what is that? After great resistance, saying, oh, you're playing games, all this sort of stuff. He says, no. We're for real. We just want to answer the question. So he did. He says, well, it's a load of rubbish that's not in the Hebrew. They're making it up. He says, people are just like that, just wasting your time. Okay? So she says she saw Yeshua, Yahashua, Yahweh, and many more, and this guy has put the pure language as the pure language to back it up. This is great. She knows all of the chosen will come into the knowledge of the truth. She is interested in courses that he teaches. She has been in church all her life and now separated. What courses and books can you tell her about so that she can grow in the knowledge of the truth? She also wants to learn the pure Hebrew language. Okay, the language you have today, the Hebrew language, is the Israeli Hebrew. It's not the original ancient or very old Hebrew or Ketav Ivri or Ivri that they talk about. And the Ketav Ivri is not the Aramaic, the original ancient, very old Assyrian Aramaic, Lishana Atika, Cypriot, or of the Tabal-YA'OH. Okay, they both used to have similar, the same words and same meanings, right, way back. But when the vowels were added in the dot system, right, etc., etc., like as in the Masoretic text, it changed not only the structure of that language but also the meaning of the words. So today, Aramaic would have the same words but with different meanings, i.e. Elohim, Elohim, which means over the flames in the ancient Aramaic, and Elohim, which means probably the one or the eternal or whatever it actually means in the Hebrew, right? So there's two differences there. You also have Yuma, which is a measurable period, age, era, day with a capital D. And then you have the Hebrew, which is Yom, right? Y-O-M, which means day, but with a capital D. Okay? So you have, same words but different meanings, different spellings or endings, right? Etc. So that ancient Aramaic, being a dead language, an old dead language, can still be read in the mass or the churches in Syria, but not. People can still speak it, but they can't translate it because they don't know English as a second language, right? So they use it as a liturgy. They just read from that. They've made a modern vernacular, but this native-born, fluent Aramaic speaking, translated from Pt1a or Mesopotamia and Syria, found a way to revive that old dead language, because he was told, don't translate from the Syriac, it's wrong. You need to translate from the original manuscripts, right? The Tabal-YA'OH. So he purchased this original manuscripts in biblical form, in Bible form, from his high priest of the original Apostolic Church of the East, and then he finds through these root words a way to revive that dead language, and then he translates it into the nearest English equivalent and as close to the original ancient manuscripts as he possibly can. That was his mission, right? We've covered this. Okay, so she won't find the pure Hebrew language because they went to different countries, right? They were taken by the Babylonians, the Persians, the Assyrians, so they would have picked up, adopted and adapted their language. That's why you got the Assyrian Aramaic, the Persian Aramaic, etc., etc. Okay, because languages evolve, right? And then they become old languages, dead languages, so they create modern vernaculars, right? So this is his answer to her, though this is an expanded version of what he actually emailed to her earlier on. Dear Sylvia, thank you for your email. He was also thankful to her for her very kind words in support of his articles that are published on the modern Ghana internet site. Okay. Before he writes to teach on any subject, he's always led of Rawach Kadash, Holy Spirit, right? Rawach Kadash, is that Hebrew? All I know of that is in the Aramaic, etc., is Ruach Kadesh, right, etc. To meditate on the issue in order to have a safe understanding of it in the perspective of Hebrew and the Torah. Okay, because this person said we don't know about the Torah and this other one, so we have nothing to offer, right? They already know the lies, etc., etc., so we wouldn't have anything to offer, etc., etc. And is this supposed to be the Torah, but they've added an H? Not sure. And this can be very slow and demanding since he is not yet literate in Hebrew. He's not yet literate in Hebrew, but can only do a word study of whatever Hebrew words he finds to be related to topics of interest he is led to meditate on or to think deeply on, right? Ponder on. Okay, so here it is here. He's not yet literate in Hebrew. It is only when he is sure of his understanding of an issue as being the whole counsel of Rawach Kadash that he writes to teach it in his column. Now, backing all this with his indispensable commitment to a holy lifestyle, which is strictly according to the Torah, I'm sure that's the Torah, and eating and drinking, this is the old Jewish dietary system, and eating and drinking, clothing, abstinence from all bodily lusts, and also in being careful in relating with the people of the earth. He has always been safe in what he put out to his readers, which have always come to be unique in content and value, since he has no human teachers, and if perchance any, none who are led by Torah light. So what's he saying? God's told him everything. He's never had any people to say, well, this is what it actually says, etc., etc., or you're actually wrong there, etc., etc. So that's what he's hinting at. Okay? He has no human teachers, right? So is it possible that this guy's using some other language and making everything up? Possible. He's changing like the spelling of things. Is he subtly hinting that he's like some sort of chosen one or Messiah or whatever? Okay, we'll look at that. We'll try and find some more history on him, more information on him. Yeah, it's quite hard at the moment. And yet he's happy and thankful when his teachings are critiqued, since he cannot claim 100% infallibility. Well, nobody can. Okay. Always approaching his writings with a mind that someone somewhere in the earth may be able to correct him, since many others are on the same way, hadarach, the way, as he is, and no one lives as an island, and no man is an island, even though you may not know such people in order to be in fellowship with them physically. So then he is always fully responsible for all he teaches, since he learned from no one. So he's saying he's getting it from God, directly from God. And so he does not also quote other teachers or refers readers to others unless it is to draw their attention to specific and particular issues he is critiquing, in which case they are not really references to support his own write-up. Dear Sylvia, he says he does not have authors or book titles he can refer to, which may or could be in line with his teachings. Also, he himself is not able as yet to teach Hebrew lessons, so she may therefore have to deal with only articles for now at this time. He promises to always answer all questions from any of his readers, even if it takes him a long time to do so, such as it has been in her case, and even writing you a simple email in response to your inquiry. Quite a number of his articles have been answers he gave to simple questions from readers where he deemed a brief response was inappropriate and or unsuitable. So they do a really long one. By the way, it is the Saviour who is wrongly called by others as Yeshua, Yahushua, etc., but should be called Ya-O-Shai, meaning Ya-O is salvation. Okay, is that Hebrew? Hebrew speakers out there? Yeah, real Hebrew speakers, Jews, etc. Let us know in the comment section. Or are they just making it up? This guy making it up? On the other hand, it is the Ab, father of Ya-O-Shai, and of holy mankind too, who is wrongly called Yahweh, Jehovah or Yahuwah by people of the earth, but must be called Ya-O. But my dear Sylvia, turning more now to himself, let him tell you a bit. He says, let him tell you a bit of how he got called and started on this journey, on his mission, which has been ordained by Ya-O for him to come to possess his truths in order for him to be a servant to render service to the people of the earth by these truths. His own call to the service of Ya-O was exactly 10 years ago in August 2008, and he was sealed as the property of Ya-O by the end of October 2008, and thus a soon coming holy 10th anniversary is gathering momentum. Now, since the only language the Creator uses to call men, all of whom must be of the house of Ya-O Shara, into a service is Ga-Barai, Hebrew, a.k.a. Lashawan Kadash, holy tongue. Okay, so he's saying that's what that sacred, scribal, old tongue, right, holy tongue is. Okay, we're at the Ministry of the Real Truth, know it as Lishana Artika Supreya, the old sacred scribal old tongue, okay, or language, which is long dead, but Victor N. Alexander found a way through the root words to revive it. Okay, the Kitab Eshet, etc., etc. Okay, which he did not know, and even as yet he does not know. Which he did not know, and even as yet do not know Now, simply because the entire house of YA'OH, which is currently in dispersion amongst the heathens, among the heathen of the earth, has lost his ability to speak this holy tongue. It was always the norm for me or him to be made to do physical drills, as if to act whatever was required of him to do in the same manner if he were to act directly on a spoken word of the Creator in an actual and live situation or in a dream. One of such physical drills which he saw himself doing in the Rawak spirit in a dream at night, which therefore involved him alone, privately and away from prying eyes of any humans, was his vigorous dancing he performed in the dream he recounted in the article about the name YA'OH in the title Allah of the Most High One, which you read to necessitate your writing to him. Yeah. As you may remember from that account, he said that at the end of that drill, in his dancing in a vibrant and energy-filled dance of Nego power, he understood right after waking up from the dream, and even if with a much deeper understanding later on with the passage of time, to who he was and about how his relationship with YA'OH had then been one that was between his beloved Ban son and him. However, a physical drill that first put him into his relationship with YA'OH as his Ab father happened in broad daylight. Wondrously, many other people did the same physical activity as he did, but were not to have any blessings of this drill, all of which were meant for him alone, since none of them had any shred of understanding of why this even happened to them or why they participated in this physical activity in daylight while even running away. Parenthesis here, because it's a sign that I'm not really sure. Okay, is that the word he used? Or if that's the correct word to use. Interestingly, his own understanding of this happening was to come later on after the same physical activity kept repeating itself in the same manner for another 7 occasions, after he was unable to understand why it even occurred to him in the first instance, at which time he had even gotten very angry about it and with himself too. Strange to note how many people ignorantly run away from the blessings of the Creator, sends their way, even with his intent to cause these blessings to overtake them even in their flight. What repeatedly happened to him was that he would always find himself with other people in some outdoor places, where there would suddenly begin, without warning, a downpour of heavy torrential rain, thus necessitating all to run for shelter from the rain in order to avoid being drenched with the rainwater.